Good morning to
Yes.
everybody. As usual, we have come with another edition of Mind Sparkle series. This Mind Sparkle series is an online initiative where we bring to you face to face with role models from the society. These role models are just people like you, simple, ordinary, neighbor type of a person who you see every day. But what you don't see behind is the dedication, the commitment, the zeal, the passion, and the hard work that goes into making these role models. They are the people who have carved out a niche for themselves in the society by their planning, by their dedication, and by their vision to do something in life. It's not that I say always that they are born with silver spoons in their mouth. They are also people who have failed in some attempts in their life, but they have again waken up, again stood up and took the mantle and decided to reach the destination which they wanted to do. These are the things that separate them from the ordinary. That's why they are a kind of a source of inspiration to people like many who are listening to us. To us, they are the people who will guide society towards achieving their destination. And I'm very happy to share with you a role model from Hyderabad. She is a personality, she is a role model who, through her dedication and through a commitment, even after not going to the interview stage in the two attempts, right, while writing mains, she did not give up. And she withstood all the pressures, the mental pressures, and the failure of things to go as per your plan. And in the third attempt, she secured 62nd rank, and she is an IS officer from West Bengal cadre of 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, and all the audience, let me introduce to you Ms. Zeba Fatma. She is a woman who has made us, all of us, proud from Hyderabad. In fact, I will tell you, in 2018, I was one of the attendee invitee for the session or a program in which the minorities department wanted to felicitate her for getting such a good rank and getting a lot of people to get motivated by her actions. In fact, I tell you, after her success, many people, especially the women candidates from the minority communities, are coming up to take their position in the civil service. I'm happy she is a guiding light for so many of us. And in fact, she agreed the moment I told her 2 days back. That's why in a short notice, we could arrange this program. And I tell you, she is not only a fine human being, but a person who wants to help the people, those people who are trying to carve out something in their career. And there's nothing better than to carve a career in civil services, the mother of all examinations. And without wasting any time, all of you ladies and gentlemen and all the audiences who are with us, let me introduce to you Ms. Zeba Fatma, West Bengal cadre IAS officer. Ms. Zeba Fatma, the platform is yours. Welcome.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you for very introduction, sir. Am I clear, sir, or should I switch off my video? Or is this audible
Now you
enough?
are sounding good. You can go ahead.
Okay, sir. So once again, thank you, sir, and good morning to all of you. I am, as sir has already introduced me, I am a IS officer of the 2018, which means I had written the examination in 2017 and cleared in 2018. So it's been good 2 years since I cleared the exam, and when sir told me that I have to give a talk, I was just sitting and recalling my preparation days yesterday, and uh, I'll be very honest. It seems like a dream since then, and that is what I want to tell all of you. Ki, no matter how difficult it is, no matter how whatever issues or whatever problems that you face in the course of your preparation, know that it will be worth it. It will be worth it on a personal level. It will be worth it on a professional level. So having said that, I will start with my introduction. I am from Hyderabad. My father is in the is working in a PSU, and I choose to sit for the civil service examination after my graduation. So there is one thing that I want to clear right now, that ये जो होता है, like a lot of people say that for civil services you have to be someone who's been preparing since 10th. You should be someone who should be reading a lot of newspapers, and someone who has a very strong academic background. I'll be very honest. I'll be honest that I was always good in my studies, but I was not someone who had always aspired to become a civil servant. I was looking at different career options, and it was during the course of my graduation that I decided ki, okay, maybe I should give the civil service. And the second point, that you must be someone who's always read newspapers. Trust me, reading newspapers and cultivating a habit to read newspapers is, it's one of the most finest quality of a person. But in case you're someone who has never done that, so don't be scared. Don't be scared that you don't know anything. You don't know how you will manage. You have these perceptions कि तुम्हारा GK अच्छा नहीं है. Don't have these perceptions. I was pretty much in your position. I'm of course I used to watch news once in a while, but I had very religiously started reading newspapers only when I started my preparation. So, and the third thing, that you have to be from a very good college, that you need to be from one of the IITs and BITS. Trust me, I did my schooling in Bharati Vidya Bhavans, and then I chose to stay in Hyderabad, and I took up graduation in St. Francis College, and it was not even a science stream. I have a very humble education background, and if I could clear it, trust me, all of you can. So don't ever take your academic qualification as an impediment, or as something which you might think may prove to be inferior to others. There is nothing like that. I have been some of my batchmates who have done their schooling in regional medium, and they still managed to clear the exam with one of the best ranks, get IAS, get IPS. There are so many of my batchmates, not batchmates, but people I know who are from some of the esteemed institutions, who somehow could not get the strategy right to clear the exam. So this exam is it's a stabilizer. It's an equalizer. Okay, you could be anyone. You could be someone who is from Manipur. You could be someone who is from Hyderabad. You could be someone who's from Kerala. You could be someone who's from Delhi. You could be someone who has gone abroad, studied in LSE. You could be someone who has done her graduation like me from a normal college in the city, or who has gone to IIT. The exam is open to all, and you, no matter what your background is, you stand in equal chance just like everybody else. You stand in equal chance just like everybody else to clear the exam. So don't have any inhibition in terms of क्या मैं ये कर पाऊंगा नहीं कर पाऊंगा, will it be possible, do I have it in me. No, don't think of all these things. In fact, I remember in 2000, my junior batch, 2019 batch, the All India third anchor Junaid Ahmed, I remember reading his interview, and he said how he had just managed to score a 60% during his 11th and 12th, and he still managed to clear the exam. So what this says, it says that as long as you're able to put dedicated effort for the examination in the right manner, you can clear it. And having set the tone, I will now get into the nitty-gritty and the details of the examination. And I will keep it very brief. I will only give you an umbrella view of the exam. Later on, if you have any particular doubts, you can post it on the chat box. So at the outset, there are 2-3 questions that I want to answer, and then I will get into the proper concerted preparation. The first is, should you take coaching or not? I personally did not take coaching. I had enrolled for coaching in Hyderabad, but eventually I felt it's not necessary. Now, having said that, a coaching gives you a good platform to understand कि क्या क्या पढ़ना है, क्या नहीं पढ़ना है. If a coaching can give you a certain direction, trust me, I know a lot of people wherein the coaching has actually misguided them. It has actually told them, confuse them. So what I'm trying to say is, a coaching can only give you a platform, but how you deal with the examination, how your understanding of it is purely your personal, and that is where you need to put in effort. So I took coaching, then I stopped it. I mean, it wasn't very helpful. What I did right, and I was in Hyderabad the whole time, but what I did right was I took a lot of test series, about which I'll talk later. The second question is, should you be going to Delhi? I don't think so. Particularly in this time when you have good coaching institutes in Hyderabad, you have a good environment and ecosystem to study in Hyderabad. I don't think it is required. And thanks to the current digital media, there is everything that's accessible on internet, which has become more profound during these tough COVID times. So I don't think that is needed. And but having said that, if you want to go, if you feel you can benefit out of it, if you have your friends who are going to Delhi, and you feel you can have a good study group, you're always welcome. Now, when I talk about study group, this is what the most important part is. I feel that you have a good group of people, maybe through online forums or your own in your own physical vicinity, a good study group of 2 to 3 people with whom you can discuss about the exam. You can share your thoughts, and so that there is a proper schedule or proper momentum that is maintained. The third thing is that should the kind of optional that you should be choosing. Now, let me just say that the art of choosing an option, there's no art. It is a very clear process of the subject that you like, and if you feel you can do justice to it. Okay. After that, no matter what option you take, even if it's mathematics or even sociology or even it's anthropology, it needs a lot of dedicated study. So when people come and ask me, Madam, should I take mathematics or should I take sociology? Should I take pol science? I don't have an answer to that. In my batch itself, I have seen people from varied options. I have a friend who took up Urdu literature as his option. I have a friend who took medical science as his option. People have taken sociology, people have taken anthropology, political science, mathematics, physics, you name it, and that option is there. So of course, having said that, anthropology has been doing well for quite some time, and if you feel you can take that option, you're good to go. So go through the optional. Someone who is not sure, don't take it as in the as soon as you start your preparation. Give 2-3 months, study the GS syllabus, just go through optional, go through toppers videos, and then take a very informed decision as to what option you would want to take. Narrow down on 2-3 different subjects, extensively go through the syllabus, go through the previous year papers. And what I'm trying to say is the examination is all about the kind of calls you take. You are the master, you are the person who needs to understand what needs to be done. The other person can only guide you. And if that kind of understanding, in that kind of, I would say in a way, awakening that you have about yourself, trust me, nobody can stop you from clearing the exam. So these are very general points. Now, having said that, one thing that you must be very clear before you get into this Chakravyuh, as they call it, of civil service examination, you should know why are you getting into it. ऐसा नहीं कि नहीं देख लेते हैं, let's just give the exam, we will see what happens. See, that kind of casual attitude, it will not help in civil service, it will not help in your life also. I feel that kind of callous attitude is more detrimental to yourself than to anybody else. So before you get into it, be very clear about why you're getting into it. Because the kind of exam that it is, you can't just get into you can't okay, let's just try the exam. Ye nahi chalega. So have that clarity of purpose, have that clarity of thought, and be honest to yourself before you get into it. Now, having said that, those are very general ideas that I had on the exam. Now getting into the main preparation, I took 3 attempts. So in the first attempt, I lost prelims by I think 3 marks. In the second attempt, I could not clear, I could not go for the interview. I written my mains, and in the third attempt, of course, I managed to score All India 62. Now these 3 attempts took 4 years of my life. Trust me, it's study. But what will always guide you is your honesty to the exam, to yourself, and to what you want to achieve in your life. And that kind of clarity, keep it to yourself. It's going to guide you on the difficult of days, and you will have them, and it is very normal to have them. At the end of the day, it's an exam, and take it as an examination. That You study a certain portion, you go and write the exam and you clear it. The difference that it makes is it's a competitive exam. So you have to ensure that you're better than the other people other people who are also giving the exam. So that kind of clarity, if you have, I feel nobody can stop you. And if I could do it in my 3 attempts, I feel anybody can do it. And trust me, the kind of stories that we hear. So after I joined Hooghly, the probationer who came after me, I would want to mention her point. She is 37 years old, and she has a daughter who is 6 years old, and she cleared the exam in her 5th attempt. So what I'm trying to say through this is that never think that you cannot do it. Always remember that there is somebody out there who is in a much more difficult situation, who is handling a lot more complications, who will clear the exam just by sheer determination. And it is important that you have the same spirit in you. Okay, so I am not sure as to what is the composition of the group. If you are all of you are just deciding to take the plunge, or if you have already started preparing for prelims, or if you have given mains or prelims previously, I'm not sure. So I will not get into the nitty gritty of how and GS and be done. That I can take up in the question and answer session. I will just give general pointers as to the kind of uh, mental setup that you must have while doing the exam. Now, I will just quote an anecdote that when I started my preparation, I had one of my well-wisher. I would like to say well-wisher because the moment you decide you want to write the civil service examination, everybody wants to give you their 2 cents. So he came to me and he said, oh, he asked me, which subject do you like? I said, I like Indian polity. So I said, okay, fine. Then he told me Indian polity ke liye to you have to read Lakshmikant, then you have to read D.D. Basu, then you might have to go through T.P. and Bakshi, and have to read this Competitive Success Review. There's some booklet that comes from political society of India or something. He said you'll have to read these 3-4 books, and after that you will be to attend the civil service examination during prelims. And he said, but even after reading this 3-4 books, you might be able to attempt all the 10 questions. You might be able to attempt only 8 of them. And he told me that's how difficult the examination is. I'm saying he was a well-wisher, but trust me, it was one suggestion of his that I never took. And this is what you must remember in the exam, that there is no point in reading too many sources. The lesser number of books you read, the more concerted your preparation is, the better it is for you. So eventually, when he had told me to read 3-4 books for Indian polity, I read just one book, which was Lakshmikant. And I read it through and through. I read it 7-8 times. I understood that as long as you're able to do just to that one book, you will be able to clear the exam. And that, I feel, is the first and the most basic agenda of civil service examination. That don't read 10 books, but read one book 10 times. People might tell you that, oh, for Indian history, you must do Bipin Chandra, you must do Spectrum, you must do this. Don't listen to all of them. Just do one book. And I will be very honest, I had fallen into the trap of reading too many sources initially because I was not sure. And it did not help. It only exhausted me mentally and intellectually. So don't do that. Now, secondly, for prelims, as you know, there's a basic book list, which I'm pretty sure you must be knowing. For Indian history, there's Spectrum. For Lakshmikant, there's Indian polity. For environment, there's Shankar IAS. For geography, there's NCERT. And for economics, NCERT and newspaper. This is what I had done. Now, apart from this, for prelims, it's important that you concentrate on current affairs. Now, for current affairs, I will come to newspaper reading and how you read newspaper sometime. But for current affairs, remember, I personally feel there's no need for you to make notes. Okay. Now, again, another pointer, one mistake that I done, that as soon as I had started my preparation, I had started. Don't make notes at least till the first 2-3 months, because if you start making notes from the day one itself, you will never know what you will feel that every line is important. I still remember I took the first time I took Hindu and I put a notebook next to me and I thought, Aaj I'll make notes. And I ended up writing the entire editorial. Because someone who has no proper background of who's not well versed, say with something like India-China relation, you will end up exhausting your brain. Okay, so when it comes to notes, don't make notes for at least 2-3 months. After 2-3 months, after you have a fair idea of the syllabus, you have a fair idea of the kind of topics that are asked and of what is important, what is not important. After that, try attempting to make notes. But again, having said that, uh, notes I had categorized into 3 different categories. Okay, the first one was for traditional topics such as uh, uh, traditional books such as modern history, Indian polity, environment, that you do for prelims and for mains. Now for these books, ये जो already material है books है आपके पास, इनके notes at least don't make it till the first 5-6 readings. Okay, the purpose of notes from these traditional books should be revision. It should not be you learning that subject. Okay, so when you're making notes out of Indian polity, which is a very fat book, Lakshmikant, which I had done, don't make notes till the first 4-5 attempts at least. Read it from the main text itself, because trust me, with every subsequent reading, there are a lot of new bits of information that you will discover, and it's important that you do that. And your main idea while preparation, while reading a book for the second or the third time should be, यार इस बार मैं क्या नया पढ़ सकता हूँ. That is how I used to read, because trust me, it's very easy to read a book the first time or the second time, but when you read the book I used to get very frustrated. So I used to challenge myself. I used to be like, yeah, this time when I read it, I should find at least 5 new points, at least 10 new points. And that kind of attitude, it'll keep you going, it'll keep you motivated in the process of preparation. So when you're making notes out of these traditional books, make it after 4-5 attempts and make it only for the purpose of revision. So I'll tell you, for Lakshmikant, which is a fat book, I could condense that entire book into, I think, around 40 pages of notes. So eventually by the fag end, of course, it helped that it was my third attempt. My second and third attempt, I could revise the Indian polity in a day. They just brushed 2 pages, and that should be the main purpose of making notes out of these traditional books. Now the second is making notes out of. I had initially, when in my first and my second attempt, I used to take the newspaper to make notes. I feel that it was not a great idea, because it's a very tedious process. I used to sit from 8 o'clock in the morning until 6-7 in the evening. I used to just keep making notes. मतलब अगर कुछ देख ले Indo-China relation, I would be like, इसके बारे में पढ़ के अच्छे से notes बनाती. My idea was always कि अच्छे से notes बनाती. It was never to make good, effective notes. It was always to make अच्छे notes. So what I'm trying to say is कि don't get lost in that. In that your own marathon of making good notes. Your notes should serve the purpose of giving you effective knowledge. That's all. They should not be a thesis on every topic that you read. So I used to do that, and I feel that is where I somehow lost in my mains in my second attempt. Okay, because I used to spend a lot of time making notes, and then I realized, and I tried everything. I used to make written notes, and I was like, "Yeah, this may edit करने में problem होती है." So then I moved on to Evernote, and then I made very fancy notes there, and I tried all kinds of things. But what I eventually felt is that it was only a time-taking exercise. It was hard work. It was very honest hard work. But for the exam, what you need is not hard work particularly. You need hard work plus smart work. And this is what I done in my third attempt, and which I think helped me. So in my third attempt, I used to read the newspaper. If I feel that there is something important, if there's a line that I like or something, I used to just make a note of it. But after reading the newspaper, I used to go through these compilations, Vision IS monthly compilations that we get. In that, you get ready-made information about the entire month. This is what happened, this is what happened, and a good, how, what, why, how, positive, negative of every issue, which UPSC demands. I started switching to that. And trust me, when my note making would take from 8 o'clock to 6-7 in the evening on like some of the days, Now I was able to read the newspaper in 2-3 hours, and then by the by the end of the month, I would just take up the monthly review, and I used to go through the topics. And because I had very religiously done my newspaper reading, I was able to revise, and that was my main note for current affairs. So if again, to put it very brief, if you're asking me if one should make notes for current affairs, I feel no. Particularly if you've just started your preparation, because like me, you will get lost in the sea. And why should you make when you have an alternative available? If we lived in an era where there were no ready-made notes, if there was no coaching institute giving you good information, maybe then you could have done that kind of hard work. But I feel it's not needed. The third kind of notes, and which is the most important, and which is notes in the true sense, is what you must make for your optional. If you have to make elaborate notes, good notes, then you should do it only for your option, because option is one subject that requires that kind of effort. Other GS or general newspaper reading, they are alternatives to it. But optional, I feel, needs that kind of it needs your pen to actually write for the optional to actually get into it. And that was the only elaborate notes that I made. My optional was sociology, and I'd taken coaching for it in Hyderabad, but eventually I felt that I could do it on my own. And then I also had a senior of mine who was in the service, and who had also taken sociology, scored pretty well. I took his guidance, and he helped me a lot with the books and what needs to be done. And then I had my own strategy. I referred 2-3 books, and then I made notes for that. And 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 I'm not that I want to boast myself, but I was just going through my notes yesterday when I was thinking of writing preparation. I was like, oh, did I actually write all of that? So uh, your notes for options should be that eventually when you read after you clear the exam, you should actually feel like, yeah, I did put in a lot of effort. And I think it was because of that effort that I managed to score a very good score in my option, around 316, which was one of the highest during my year. So this was about notes, and about prelims. Like I said, you just have to do the basic books that everybody does. Everybody does the Lakshmikant, everybody does a Spectrum, everybody does a Sri Shankar IAS. Okay, so it is like the what will help you prelims, the kind of test series that you do and how you tackle questions. Okay, now how you tackle questions is, so I'll be very honest. Okay? You could have read the in all the syllabus that is there, all the books that are there available in the market for UPSC. Even after that, in prelims, out of the 100 questions, you will be sure only of 45-50. The paper in prelims is built, the GS paper that I'm talking about is made in such a, with the hats off to the ones who make it, in such a manner that there is absolutely no way you can know more questions. Okay, so no matter how much you have prepared, you will only know 45 to 50. So don't be scared. Okay, so this is how it is for everybody. For me who has cleared the exam, somebody who has not cleared the exam, this is how it's going to be for all. What will help you clear prelims are those 20 to 30, 25 to 30 questions where you make educated guesses. Now, what these educated guesses are based on is what you have read, which is the basic books, and your understanding of the exam. And this is where your wisdom comes in. So if the exam was purely about knowledge, then trust me, I know a lot of more people who clear the exam with a lot more information, a lot of more knowledge. I personally feel that I don't know so much. But what I knew was what the examination expects. What the examiner expects in terms of prelims, what the examiner expects in terms of meet. I was able to crack that. So that is what you must focus on. Now for prelims, like I've said, you will know around 45 to 50 questions if you have done the basic books. I'm not saying if you've read too much. If you've done the basic books, you've done current affairs. Now the other 25 to 30 or 30 to 35 is where you have to use your sense of wisdom, your sense of understanding of the subject. Now, how does this come? This comes by going through the previous year papers. And I think this was the best thing that I had done. Okay, even today I'm saying you, in terms of knowledge, if a topper is there, I was here. But in terms of understanding how a paper needs to be dealt, I rank myself higher than people. So what I had done was I had done all the previous year papers from 2011, because that's when the pattern had changed. And when I say I had done, I don't mean I had just solved the paper. I used to religiously look at every question. क्वेश्चन क्यों दिए, ये यूज करने के लिए दिए हैं, ये ऑप्शन, अच्छा अगर ये ऑप्शन ऐसे दिया है और मुझे, इफ आई डोंट नो द क्वेश्चन और इफ आई एम नॉट हर्ड अबाउट द टॉपिक, do I be able to guess the answer? And if I'm able to guess the answer, is it right? You know, is it something I can try? Questions. And you won't believe, in all my 3 attempts, in more than test series, if there's one thing, and my father would always wonder, why do I keep solving the same question papers again? Before every prelims, I used to take out my bundle of previous year papers from 2011 to 2016, 17, and I used to solve every paper, before every prelims attempt of mine. Because I feel your UPSC papers are your best guide to clearing prelims, or even for clearing mains. And this is where I feel a lot of people falter. They don't look at what UPSC has already done. They look at all the kind of material that coaching institutes are giving, or the kind of gyan that people are doling out. Why do you have to do that when you can, directly you can read, or you can approach or look at it from the horse's mouth? Why do you have to look at secondary sources? So what I'm trying to say is, keep for prelims, religiously go through the previous year papers. And I'll give you one very simple example. Okay? How I learned, what I used to do was question, I would not attempt it. But it was when I had subsequently done the previous year papers, I said, even if you don't know a question, read the question, because the kind of question that is asked, the kind of options that are given, yes. And I'll give you one second recall from the, at this point. So there was this question on, I think, on a sea cow, which is an endangered animal. So when I read that question, I was like, "Are yaar, see." But and then there were 2-3 options that they had given, that it's only and that it is on the entire west, and there were some other options I don't remember. So when I read this question, I was like, oh, I was so infuriated at UPSC. I said, "Ki ab kya endangered animals utha ke humse question puchenge? Do they expect us to know all the endangered animals?" So I thought I'll skip it. But then when I read that question, I realized that there was one option that it's in herbivore. Then there was a second option which said that it is found in the entire western coast of India. Now this is common sense. Now, if there is an endangered animal, it will obviously not be on the entire western coast. If it was so easily found, then it wouldn't be endangered, right? So I could easily cancel out that option. And thankfully, the kind of option that we have, just A is A, B, B is B, C, D. Then the third option is C, D. Usme se I could easily cancel out the second option, and I was left with just one option, which was right. So what I'm trying to say is that although you might not know a question, you might not heard of it, in prelims, please read the question in totality. See if you can use your common sense. And if you can use your common sense, that is what is needed for the examination. That is what I feel like now that I've spent 1 week, 1 year on field, I feel it's needed for the field also. Just that bit of common sense, just that bit of presence of mind. And this presence of mind is going to help you sail through the exam, through prelims. And the second part is these 25-30 questions. A lot of the questions that you will see, you will have options. You'll be like, it could easily be A, B. There'll always be a 50-50% confusion on the questions. So these questions, see, you must know what kind of chances you can take. So now this is what another good thing that I'd done, that I had gone through all the previous year papers I'd done, and I used to solve them religiously. The question, and this was for all 3 of my attempts. And I used to look at test series for prelims, and again I used to solve them religiously. And what I had done for prelims was I had done a 10 by 10 tabular column for prelims, and usme 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 100 the questions. और मैं जैसे भी कोई आंसर अटेम्प्ट करती थी ना, मैं उसमें लिख देती थी कि like that tableau column had 10 different 4 different kind of answers. The first one was which I knew for sure and was right, which I knew and it was wrong, which I didn't know turned out to be right, which I didn't know turned out to be wrong. Okay, so it is that kind of 4 different colors that I had allotted for every single answer of mine. So जैसे if I'm solving a test series और अगर मुझे लगता है कि मुझे ये आंसर आता है तो मैं उसमें ब्लू कलर कर देती थी. If I knew that I didn't know this question but मैं तो say I used to put a say a red or something. Now when I was evaluating, I used to see that if it's a red mark, which means that I knew the question, and if it turned out to be right, I used to give it a green. If I knew the question, it turned out to be wrong, I used to give it a red. Then for the next set of questions, on basis of my hunch or some sort of कि कहीं पढ़ा था ऐसे, I used to attempt. So what it helped me was by the end of my exam, like by second and third attempt, in any given paper, if I attempted 75 questions, I knew that कि इसमें से अगर मेरे 50 सही होंगे, 20 मेरे गलत होंगे, मुझे effectively इतने marks आएंगे. For say a medium difficulty paper or an easy difficulty paper. Or I knew that if I've attempted 80 questions, out of which 50 are sure I know, out of that 43 to 44 will be right. The rest will certainly be wrong. And out of the 25 to 30 which I've guessed, at least 15, 20 would be right. So why I'm telling you all of this is because a lot of people don't know this about themselves. They don't know ki on in a given paper what kind of performance they can give. My basic agenda for prelims was even before I went to write the exam prelims, I should know that for a certain paper मैं कैसा performance दे सकती हूँ. That kind of understanding about yourself is what you must inculcate, and that is what will help you for the exam. So this is for prelims. This was one good thing which I feel that I had done, and that really helped me, because my friends would say that यार हमने 80 question किए पर पता नहीं कितना होगा. But I had practiced it so many times and so religiously. I knew that 80 questions में से मेरे 50 में से इतने होंगे, effectively मुझे इतने marks आएंगे. I knew कि if I'm making guess of 10 questions, at least 6 of them would be right. And I don't know how the universe works, but trust me, it is the ratio and the proportions remain the same, because your psychology of attempting a paper, of your approaching a paper remains the same. So this kind of understanding one must inculcate is what I feel after you have done your preparation for prelims. Now for mains, what I've done is, and this is the second another important thing that I want to say. I'll keep it very simple. I won't get into the nitty gritty of mains. One thing that everybody focuses on answer writing. And I know people who har din they write 4-5 questions, who attempt 10 questions every day. The people who write like, and then they're like, हम हर दिन लिख रहे फिर भी हमें मेंस में मार्क्स नहीं आ रहे. See, I feel that it's pure donkey work which is not going to take you anywhere, which is bad, okay, which is not smart study. You cannot just attempt, you cannot just write questions without knowing कि लिखना क्या है, कि कैसे लिखना है. If there is a question to me, say on something like border issues that India faces, and if I'm writing something, if I'm practicing and I'm writing something, there is no point of writing if I don't know if what I'm writing is right or wrong. I can't just end up writing 10 answers and not know ki, and then not be like, yeah, मैंने 10 answer हर दिन लिखे फिर मुझे इसमें marks नहीं मिलते. I'll be very honest, in terms of test series, so I had initially thought that, oh, everybody talks about answer writing, I'll write answers, and I had started writing. But then I realized that I'm not going anywhere, like my answers were not improving overnight. So eventually what I did was, and I think this was the best thing I did, I went to Vision IAS website, and usme you have toppers answers, mains. You won't believe, I went through all the toppers answers for I think 2015 or 16, all of them. And that I would just get handwriting ki kis topper ne likha hai. And why I did was because I wanted to know ki ye log likhte kya hai, like how do these people tackle a question. Because eventually when you have done your preparation, you realize that you know something about everything, tum likh sakte ho, but what is it that needs to be written that fetch you marks. done again, like I said, I did research on this. Like I used to sit from morning till evening. When somebody else would be writing answers, I would sit and just read toppers' answers. कि ये बंदे ये लोग लिखते क्या है? Like how that I need to improve in myself to get to a level where my answers can fetch me marks and get me a rank. So this is what you must do. That don't go through all the toppers answers that are available, because then you'll go mad. Just pick a year, say 2017 le lo, 18 le lo, and then just go through all the toppers. Just randomly, like if you're bored, you don't know what to read, just go through the toppers answer, and then understand कि ये लोग लिखते क्या है. And then the second thing what I did was I zeroed down to 2-3 toppers, जिससे मुझे लगता है था कि मैं इनसे कनेक्ट कर सकती हूँ, मैं इनके आंसर से कनेक्ट कर सकती हूँ. और फिर वो 2-3 में से फिर मैंने एक टॉपर को उठाया जिसका मुझे लगा कि जो मेरा स्टाइल ऑफ राइटिंग है मैचेस हिज, एंड दैट इज समथिंग दैट कम्स वेरी effortlessly to me. Now why I'm telling you all of this is you need to understand that I also did a lot of understanding of my own self, कि मैं किस तरह से लिखती हूँ, कि मैं कहाँ पे इम्प्रूवमेंट कर सकती हूँ, नहीं कर सकती हूँ. एंड ट्रस्ट मी, अगर तुम ये क्रैक कर सकते हो, तुम अपने, इफ यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड योर ओन सेल्फ, which takes a lot of time, which in my opinion takes a lot of time, takes more time than you reading a Lakshmikant or you reading a Spectrum. But if there is anything that's going to help you clear the exam, it is your understanding of what you are. So I took it, I understood कि अच्छा ऐसे ऐसे लिखते हैं. फिर what I knew was for any question I knew in my head कि इसको tackle कैसे करना है. And I'm telling you, I'm not saying मुझे answer कैसे करना है. I'm saying इसको tackle कैसे करना है. And that is what you must understand about UPSC. कि how should you tackle a question that you can get a proper, get proper marks. So I did this, and eventually I had only given, I think, 3 or 4 test series for my optional, and I had only given written 2-3 test series for ethics. Uske alawa, I had not given any test series, and I still managed to score good marks because I knew what needs to be written. And this is where I feel everybody must focus. Instead of just writing aimlessly, you should know what needs to be written. Now, having said that, I will also say that during the course of your preparation, you will realize that it gets very difficult. It used to get difficult for me also. But I started my preparation thinking कि I want to join the civil service, I want to do this, I want to do that. उसके लिए I used to read. What I'm trying to say is that your motivation levels, they could be wavering. It's very normal. But what shouldn't waver is your commitment. And I feel those are two different things. Your commitment is when even during the most difficult of circumstances, when you don't like something, you're able to put your 100% to it. I feel motivation is when you like something and you're able to put your 100%. The exam may not be like that for you always. Because I remember when I gave my second attempt, I could not clear it. And I was like, why am I even doing? Like all my friends, they some of them got into IIMs and some of them went abroad. And I said, is it something which is worth it? But I will not say I stayed motivated. I'll say I stayed committed to the exam. And that is what is needed for you. That there were 2 things that I had done. In my third attempt, there was not much, I didn't have a lot of inspirational quotes, but I'd written just one thing on my study table. It was 2-digit, and I'd written Inshallah. This is all that I had written. And every morning, whenever I used to study, whenever I used to get up, I used to just look at those 2 digits. And thankfully, this was it turned out to be true also. But what I'm trying to say is कि have these kind of motivational pointers. And there was also another quote by Faiz Ahmad Faiz, which I used to always think of. It goes by, I'll just, दिल ना उम्मीद तो नहीं, नाकाम ही तो है, लंबी है गम की शाम, मगर शाम ही तो है. So life will get better, things will get better, and trust me, if I could clear, each one of you can. And you will always remember, जब भी तुमको लगता है ना, this is what I used to tell myself whenever I used to feel I don't have time, but 2 months hai, I'm not even going to Delhi, I don't know what I'm studying or not, I've not done this, I've not done that. Always remember one thing: if you are cribbing or if you're scared of your position, there will always be someone who doesn't have the time that you have, who may be facing more financial difficulties, who may not have the kind of attempts that you have, who in simple words is going to be in a much more difficult position than you, but he will clear the exam just on the basis of his willpower. And if that person can in a much more difficult circumstance, then why can't you? So just give you 100%. There is a lot of information that is available online. It's good, but I'll also give a word of caution. Don't get lost in the ocean of information. It's very important to be selective, to be understanding, and more than anything, understand yourself. Be honest to yourself, be committed to what you're doing. And that I feel holds for everything that you do in your life. That sort of commitment is what is needed. And with that, I would want to wrap up, sir, and I can take questions.
Wonderful, Zeba. It was a fabulous session. In fact,
you,
very
sir.
precise, concise, and to the point. And professional also. And let me tell you, this is the first takeaway from your lecture. Those aspirants and audience who are listening, the first takeaway is that do not digress. Bahak nahi jana. She was very much loyal to the topic, how to succeed in civil services. And she told everything related to that topic also. And this is one of the first answer that goes to your answer in the civil services. Never digress from the topic. Be brief, be concise, be professional. So it's the first takeaway. And there are so many takeaway from her session. One of the thing which I liked is that do not make it complex. Be simple, be natural. In our policing also, we do so many things of big mega projects we come out, but we forget the basic policing. So most of our seniors always say that do not forget the basic policing. So in your preparation, do not be very complex, reading hundreds of books, so many references books. In fact, when we were preparing, I saw a candidate, we were in hostel, his entire rooms were flooded with magazines and books. And in fact, we benefited from him. We used to take books from his library and we had very simple books. We were loyal to one or two books. So that is the second takeaway. Do not complicate yourself or the answer or the process. Third is that everybody can do it. Her message is very clear. If she can do it, you can do it. If you can do it, others can do it. I have done it, you can do it. The chain is very simple. Do not think it as if somebody who has like a Hercules type of a strength or wisdom of Einstein or the knowledge of Isaac Newton, nothing of that sort. If knowledge would have been the criteria as Zeba was mentioning, then probably I would not have been sitting here. Many would not have been sitting there. It tests your wisdom also, your patience also, your analytical ability to weed out the bad answers from the correct answer. Have an intelligent guess. Every answer is not having a pinpoint answer. They want your intelligent guess in life also, your discretionary part, your willingness to leave away certain answers also for the best possible answer. So a lot of things that test you during the exams is other than knowledge also. So these were some of the takeaways. But Zeba, you have answered almost everything which the questions have come. But to be honest to the audience, I would like to again reiterate those questions so that you can be specific and satisfy their queries. First of all, the question which has come is that how do you weed out the dependency on coaching institutes? I heard you saying that you don't had much coaching experience or you did not take coaching. Okay, fine. That is a very good way to go about. But there are many people who want to know, even after doing one coaching, they again are going to the second coaching. So how to do away with dependency on coaching too much and less on self-reliance? Zeba.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You've actually used the right word for it, the self-reliance. Okay. I think this is what happens, and this is the mistake that a lot of people do with civil services. They feel that they will, वो जो wisdom होता है and understanding of the subject, they will get it from an external source. External source in terms of a coaching institute or in terms of a mentor, he can only guide you, he can only tell you, but your understanding and your your like asset test, litmus test ki tum ye clear kar paoge nahi kar paoge, it will happen only if you stop looking for that kind of guidance from an external source and start seeking it within. I know it sounds very spiritual, but the dependency comes only when you feel that you are not good enough. The day you start feeling that you are good enough, you can do it, trust me, you are the best person to go for your own preparation. You don't have to go to an external person. And now how does this happen is when you start going through the, the books or the previous year papers, or you start doing your own research. It'll take time. It'll take 1 or 2 months for you to have some sort of understanding of the exam, for you to be able to make your own, judgments, or your own decisions कि ये पढ़ना है, ये नहीं पढ़ना है. But trust me, start putting in that effort for yourself. Like you go to a coaching institute thinking कि कोई हमें prelims clear करवाएगा. Yeah, nobody will help you clear the prelims until and unless you don't go through the previous year papers, until and unless you don't go through the syllabus, until and unless you have not done the basic book. Now, the other thing why people take coaching is there are two reasons. एक तो होती है conceptual clarity. The second thing is to clear prelims and mains. For conceptual clarity, I feel you can go to a institute, because the kind of topics that we have, the kind of subjects, are very diverse. Not everybody has the kind of, say, a geography or a economics. They're difficult subjects. Conceptual clarity, yes, but when it comes to you clearing the exam, and I want to reiterate this once again, that you cannot depend on an external source. You will have to, do your own hard work, go through toppers videos, go through the previous year papers and understand it. Only then will you be able to reduce the dependency. Otherwise, I feel it is you will have to keep switching coaching institutes until unless you don't you put in that effort yourself. Yes, sir.
Well said, Zeba. In fact, the change has to come from within. Until unless you have not decided mentally to do away with dependency, you will always be dependent on something or the other. Like you were mentioning about the notes, people get so much lost in preparation of the notes, and they're so dependent on notes that they forget that they have to write also, has the wisdom to think also how to frame the answers. They get lost in the woods and they miss the forest for that. So
Yes,
absolutely, that is the mistakes most of us are doing. And I'm very happy that you answered it very straight. I will club two questions. It almost seems the same. The first is that after failing for 2 attempts, how did you motivate yourself so much? Apart from that tag which you put it on the table, what was the strategy that motivated you? And second is that what was the change in the strategy? From the first attempt, you could not clear prelims. Second attempt, you cleared prelims also and mains you wrote. And the third attempt, you finally cleared. What was the difference in strategy? The first question is how did you motivate yourself after 2 failures? And the second question is related to that. What was the change in strategy from the first to second and second to third? Zeba.
Yes, sir. Sir, for the first question, sir, how did you stay motivated? And as I've already said, sir, my motivation levels, I'll be very honest, they went through their own highs and lows, sir. But what I did was, I always stayed committed. Okay, I didn't know what the exam was going to, what the results were going to be. But I just knew that I had to study this. I had to, complete so and so preparation. I had to complete so and so syllabus, and I stuck to that. Now, motivation after the second attempt becomes difficult, I will admit. But the second thing that I did, of course, my family was very supportive. So that was a huge push. Secondly, I watched a lot of I went through a lot of their stories. I let a couple of biographies. I just made sure that it went good space once again. It went to a space where I knew that I could do it, and that I have to do it, that and I will do it. Now you have to remember that all these words actually make a huge difference. It's I will, I shall, I have to do it. And initially it was I will do it, and then it became I shall, then it twisted on I have to do it, and it again went back to I will do it. So have a mix of different strategies. There might be one morning where you feel that, oh, today I will, today I feel very motivated. Go ahead and, do your preparation. There might be days on which you feel you may not be able to do it. Stay committed to the preparation. And always remember that the process is long, and the process is also very time taking. But as long as you're honest to your efforts, and as long as you are staying committed, you can do it. And trust me, eventually, once you get into the preparation mode, or into the vicious cycle of UPSC, as I call it, you will know कि second, third attempt, now it's manage ho jata hai. Like the people who are in their fourth or fifth attempt, you look at them and you're like, I mean, I have a friend of mine who has given 3 interviews so far and who is not made it in the final list. And he is going to give another attempt. So you look at these people and then you're like, if they can do it, then why can't you? So it needs the kind of strength of character that you need to, bring about in yourself. And if you're able to do it, you will be fine. And have faith in yourself. You should be able to. The second thing is the kind of strategy that I changed. Now, as I'd already mentioned in my talk, so initially what I had done in my first attempt, not so much in my second attempt, was that I did a lot of donkey work. I won't call it hard work, I will call it donkey work because it was a lot of effort in the wrong direction. In my third attempt, I needed very crisp and very concise. Okay, that newspaper, I'm going to read it religiously. I might read it 2 times in a day, but I won't make any notes. Notes, I will go through Vision IAS. And for my answer writing, initially that had practiced a couple of answers, I realized that it wasn't helping me. So I thought I will go through toppers answers, understand what needs to be written, and only focus on that. So I think from my first, second attempt to my third attempt was smart work. Of course, I had the benefit of hindsight. I had the benefit of my first 2 attempts, which say a newcomer may not have. So, but trust me, if you can't learn it from your own mistakes, learn it from somebody else's mistakes. That is the only suggestion that I'll give you.
Zeba, now the question is that a lot of people are asking when the exam or the D-Day nears, be it the mains or the interview or the prelims, a specific kind of a strategy is what people have heard that successful people prepare for. For last 1 year, they may be having a different perspective to study, but when the exam nears, especially in sports also or any other competition, their strategy also changes. So people are asking you, what was your strategy 2 months or 45 days before the exam, be it the prelims, be it the mains? Could you say something different? Was it from the earlier preparation or was it the same as it was before?
Yes, sir. It was different in terms of that at least 45 days or a month or 2 months before prelims or mains, one must only focus on revision. Matlab, if you start reading new information at that point, then God save you. You will be in a very bad headspace when you're giving the exam. So in the 2 months, by before 2 months, 2 months before prelims or a month before mains, you should ensure that your basic preparation in terms of the basic book, in terms of current affairs, you've already done it at least 1 or 2 times. And in those 2 months, you are only going through your, what you've already prepared, you're only revising. Because trust me, like it's very easy. Like now, if you're asking me, India ka independence aise ho ya फिर civil disobedience mein aise ho, I can give you a very good answer. But when you're actually writing, you're in the examination hall, you tend to forget even simple pieces of information or something that you would otherwise know in a normal circumstance. Now, for you to remember critical information in the examination hall, the only thing that will help you is revision. The more you revise, the more it goes in your subconscious memory. The more it is just there somewhere in your head, okay? The more it is effortless to you. Now, if you say, constitution kaise padhte, see, nobody learns the constitution. Nobody by heart it, okay? It's very difficult. You just read it so many times that it gets registered in your head. Nobody has, made you, like, it's like ABCD. Like, you just know ABCD now. So for you to have your information on fingertips, no information like, like how you know ABCD or 1, 2, 3, 4, revision is the most critical point. And revision is, in my opinion, it gets a little boring because you're reading the same information. So for that, I used to, have this strategy that every time I'm reading something, I should be able to find something new, discover something new. So usse kya hota hai, your concentration levels and your interest in a particular subject remains even after subsequent reading. So focus on revision. Don't read anything new apart from, of course, newspaper you will read, but just do this and do a lot of test series, do a lot of test papers to assess your performance, and have a good sleep cycle, and don't worry. That's all.
Hello,
Audience, I
ma'am.
think.
Hello.
Hello. Audience, you must have listened to her answer. There's another question which has come to us, and I think you should take note of what Zeba was telling when she was giving the lecture on the session. It is about going to the answer scripts of the toppers. That was one interesting part. Rather than only writing and not concentrating on the best part of the people who are successful. So taking that cue, Zeba, I would like to ask one question has come to me, that when you went through the question answer script of the toppers, you must have learned so many things that changed your writing skills and that made you successful also. Now the audience is asking, what are the good mains writing skills which you learned, and what are the things that writing skills makes a difference in the marks from the people who are failing or the people who are successful? What are the skills for the mains? Zeba.
Okay. So for mains, the first thing is that what I felt was that you should write as a journalist. As in, ki if there's a question on, say, food security of India, then you should not get very academic about your answer. Okay, you should just keep it very simple. The second thing is that you should have clarity of thought in your answer, which is there. And if you go through toppers answer in general, you'll realize that there's a certain bureaucratic language that is used. Okay, in terms of you know, does the state have the capacity or the a while. But back then, I just had a lot of words and a lot of phrases on my fingertips because I was so used to reading these toppers answers. So, okay, the first thing is that you should keep it very generalistic. The second thing is that every answer typically will have an introduction, will have the positive, will have a little background, will have the positives, will have the negatives, and will have a conclusion. This is a very general, like, of course, it may not be applicable to every question, but generally this is how the strategy is. So for the introduction, what a lot of these toppers would do is they would pick a good statistics or a good, example about it. Just say if you have food security of India, or if you have something on food processing, then you should know that what percentage of our GDP, or what percentage of our economy of food processing, what percentage it contributes to the food GDP. Okay, so now these kind of what I say data, or these kind of striking information is what these toppers answers had. Okay, very crisp, very concise. And then even in terms of positives and negatives, uh, a typical topper answer would have, like, 6 7 positives, 6 7 negatives. So what I'm trying to say is कि if from every topic it tells you how to balance an answer. वरना क्या होता है, कुछ लोग होते हैं कि if they get a topic like Indo-China relation, they get lost in the topic and then they just keep writing and then they miss the whole point of the question. So in mains answer, what you must know is कि if there is a question, what is being asked, the kind of introduction that you can give to it, the kind of positives and negatives that you can give to it, and the final and the most important part is the conclusion. Now, what a lot of these, I picked it from one of the toppers, that there was one topper who used to, add a fundamental duty or a fundamental right or a DPSP in every conclusion. And DPSP तो ऐसे होते हैं कि वो हर आंसर में मैच हो जाते हैं. Fundamental right को हर आंसर में हो जाते हैं. Now what happens is, and these are very small tricks that you use, okay? So all these small tricks, right, they help you differentiate and they help you elevate an answer. Your understanding should be how to elevate an answer. I won't focus so much on what needs to be written because I feel ki, see, if you've read enough information, anybody can write on food processing industry in India. But you must know what can help you elevate an answer. Elevation of answer comes through data. Elevation of an answer comes through, linking it to our constitution, its different articles or a fundamental right. Elevation of an answer comes through, quoting a renowned, academician or a renowned, say, statesman on the subject. So all these ideas is what you must take, and I think that was the difference that helped me in making my answers better and elevating them.
Fine. I like the idea that you should elevate your answer. That's the crux of the whole thing. When you are answering certain things which the question has asked, they're not asking only knowledge, they're asking your opinion plus the elevation, how far you can elevate that answer to a wisdom level, combining the knowledge and the statistics also. Everything should be, it's not only knowledge, it should have wisdom, opinion also. Well said, Zeba. In fact, I concur with you what you have said. These were the same things which were told to us by expert examiners and the teachers whom we used to interact with in our days 20 years back, if you go. Now, we have a next question in which, and it's quite relevant, the question about mental strength. Students, those who are preparing the aspirant, they have a lot of difficulties. Some may have different problems related to their some health or to their family or to their failures or to a lot of things comes in the way. And today we have pandemic also. So a lot of distractions in the mind comes. How do you expect people to overcome this distraction, especially this pandemic? And what is your opinion or your
Yes, sir.
advices to students how to go about conquering the distractions which aspirant faces in the civil service preparation? Zeba,
The
am I
first
audible?
my suggestion would be it is no, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. Okay, so my first suggestion and my first is it is very normal to have distractions. So don't like when I used to prepare, whenever I used to have a distraction, I used to not feel like studying. I used to question myself, you know, you see all these toppers and how they're so motivated. Am I good enough? You know, why am I feeling so distracted? Am I not being honest? So what I'm trying to say is, it is very, very normal to have distractions. Don't don't start questioning yourself. How can I have distractions? Now, as see, the moment you have accepted a problem, you have accepted that okay, fine, I have distractions, you can look for a solution for it. Now, so what you say? The first distraction is this kind of gloomy, clouds in your head that you don't know what is going to happen, the how the examination will fare, how the pandemic will fare. Trust me, nobody knows. I don't have an answer as to how the situation will get better. Nobody knows. But what you can do at this time is just do what you were doing before, uh, and that is just stick to your preparation. The more you allow your brain to stay idle, the more it conjures up a lot of theories, a lot of different ideas of where life is heading, where life is not heading. Don't give your mind that space. In case your mind eventually starts having these thoughts, uh, start giving you some time to your own mental health and well-being. That is, start exercising, uh, talk to your friends once in a while, talk to your parents, uh, and watch movies. I mean, I used to watch a lot of movies during the course of my preparation because that was like my escape. That was my refuge from the preparation and the ordeals of it. So try finding an hobby for yourself where you can have that outlet for yourself. But having said that, uh, you cannot afford to stay distracted. See, there are two kinds of distraction that I honestly feel. Now, if somebody is saying that, I'm not able to study, I'm scared because of the uncertainty of the examination, I can understand. That is very normal. But if you that you are feeling distracted, you're not able to study, तुम्हारा मन नहीं करता, then trust me, the fault is with you. Then you will have to stop giving yourself reasons. Okay, you will have to be hard on yourself. And I feel that is what is important, that you should be a little hard on yourself. You should be like, nahi, ab karna to karna, I cannot have any distractions. But if your mind, if you're fatigued, if you're tired of the preparation, which is very normal, then you should have an outlet. And for days when you feel gloomy, for you days when you don't know where life is heading, particularly in these pandemic times when nobody knows of anything, just hold on, pray if you're someone who prays, hold on to your faith, and do what you can do. You have to prepare. I was a batchmate, cousin of mine, and she had told me, "I'm so glad that I got 2-3 extra months because usse pehle to I was not planning on giving prelims. My preparation keep me months." So look at the positive side of it, and it's a choice you make. So just focus on keeping fit, keeping healthy, and always know that you will do it. You have it in you to clear it. If you have that faith, right, it can help you tide over the toughest of storms. That's what I feel.
Yeah, I also agree with you. In fact, we should be tough on ourselves when the solution lies in our hand. Those things which are beyond, like pandemic, it is not in our heart to control the ecosystem outside. So do not tax your brain too much. Leave it to procedures. Leave it to things that does not belong to you. Let it cool down itself. But those things which belong to you, concentrate on it first. Why you are clubbing both? And I'm very happy that Zeba made a clear distinction between those kind of distractions which is in your hand and those distractions which is not in your hand. So the answer is quite simple, and I think the audience must have understood. Please follow those things. And Zeba, I have another questions for you, and it's quite specific. What is the strategy for essay and ethics? Because I think during our time essay was there but ethics was not there. So I think you must answer this question. What are the strategies specifically for essay and ethics, and how does it help in getting good scores in the civil service examination?
Yes. So for essay, I feel as such, you don't need any different preparation. But what you can do for essays, go through toppers essays. I did that and I picked up a lot of points. Second is like before mains, look at some five, six, I think there are around like 10 very common topics that come always. Education, health, technology, and agriculture. Just pick this normal topics, very traditional topics, and like write a one-page note on all of them. So what this one-page note can consist of is write a nice quote. In essay, I think having a quote helps, or having an anecdote or a case study that you have come across somewhere. Particularly in terms of agriculture, you can talk about a specific case study which was in news. So pick all these, again, like I said, these points that can elevate your essay. And then focus on having a nice structure into your essay. And this is what all the toppers will say that, see, if I were to ask you about yourself, your introduction is going to have a structure to it. You can't just be like, oh, my name is Zeba. Oh, I'm in Hyderabad. Oh, but you know, I like, I mean, you can't just keep it very haphazard. So even for an introduction, you know, if there's a structure that is needed, imagine for a 1,500 page essay, it's obvious that you need some sort of some sort of structure. So focus on having a structure. Now, what is a structure? A structure, again, a lot of material is available on it online. I will leave it to your discretion, the kind of structure that you're comfortable with. I was majorly comfortable with, you know, a spatial and a temporal kind of structure, wherein I talk about a subject, you know, from say, like I give a then I taught it from economic, social, political, and the technological angle. So have this kind of structure, have a nice introduction, have a nice quote, and have fluidity. What happens is because you have studied so much, you have, you know, read so much. I feel a lot of a problem that toppers face is also not toppers, but generally aspirants that face is you must have read a lot, but don't have fluidity in your thought, don't have structure in your thoughts. And trust me, if you don't have fluidity and structure in your thoughts and understanding, whatever that you've read is of no use. So from the first day itself, whenever you read an article, whenever you read any piece of information, try processing it in your head, try having a structure to it, try having some sort of fluidity, try telling it like a story. So that, I think that kind of attitude really helps. So what I used to do, and like this is another example that I will give you, that a lot of times for me it used to become very difficult to identify with a topic, like especially if I'm reading president or vice president ke rules and stuff. So I used to tell myself, oh, tomorrow if I become president, I should know what powers and what you know, authority and responsibilities that I have. So I should read it. Or you know, or tomorrow if you know I made a farmer, then I should know that you know what a particular scheme entails, and what a particular, you know, the problems are about. So what I used to do is try putting myself in those shoes. Even for essay, try putting yourself in the shoes of, say educationist, or, somebody who's a teacher, or somebody as a policy expert. And I think that will really help you have fluidity in your thought, and that will eventually reflect in your essay. Apart from that essay, like I've said, introduction ले लो अच्छे से, have nice quotes, have nice pieces of information, data थोड़ा रख लेना. जैसे अगर education है तो you must know that what is the percentage of GDP that goes through into education, and what is the desirable one. So all these information, keep it in one place, and I think then you'll be able to do fine for your essay. Now for ethics, ethics is where I think I managed to do really well. I had scored around 108 in ethics, and like my others, like an average score during my year was 85 to 90. Now they're like books written on how you should tackle ethics and how you should handle ethics. I had not read any book on ethics. I had not because I thought it was very boring. I thought कि यार ethics के लिए कौन पढ़ेगा, मतलब that was my that was my understanding. Of course somebody else would differ from it, but I just felt that I'm not the kind of person who can read, like if you're talking to me about integrity, I can't read about integrity until unless I don't feel it myself, or it's not something that I connect with. So I did not do any textbook reading for ethics as such. What I did was, the first thing that I did was I took all the topics, okay, that are given in ethics syllabus. I picked every topic, जैसे integrity है and honesty है. ये सब topics का I wrote like 2-3 lines on them, basic definition. Some of them I looked up online, some of them I just read randomly. I wrote basic definition because so that, see, I could be an integral person, but if the examiner does not see that in my answer, then there is no point. So for that, you need to have clarity of thought, have like 2 or 3 lines about every topic. And then what I did was I went through toppers' answers again. This was my only refuge. And then I looked at how they looked at different questions or different situations, or how a civil servant must look. Like if I'm talking about integrity and honesty, see, as an individual I can have my own opinion on it. As a mother, she might have an opinion. As a father, you might. As a businessman, you might have your own opinion. But what is it that as a civil servant you must think of? Integrity and honesty and accountability is what you must focus on. And that you can understand if you go through toppers' answers, if you go through their talks, you'll know the perspective. And if you can get a hold on the perspective, it will eventually reflect in your answers. So that is what I had done. And of course, in ethics, we have a lot of case studies. So I went through a lot of topics. I understood how they looked at a case. So for every question I used to ask myself, oh, how will I answer this? I used to look at a topper answer. And then I used to ask myself, अच्छा ठीक है, तो इसने ऐसे सोचा. This is what makes him different. This is how maybe I should also attune my thinking. And I did a lot of work like that. And I think that reflected in my answers. That maturity as a civil servant to tackle, questions of ethics, I could show that in my answers, and that helped. So that is my 2 cents.
Yeah, fine. In fact, what I could guess it from the answer is that there are 3 things that are very important. Let me summarize. One is structure, form, and the context. If you miss these 3 points, your essay is going bad, I'm telling you. So without structure and form, you cannot create your essay or your ethics answer, whatever is it. And then you have to give the context. You get a beautiful example also. A different person may have a different perspective on certain issues. A farmer may have a different view on agriculture. But as a civil servant, what is your view on agriculture? As a scientist, what is your view on agriculture? So in answer, you cannot be writing like a scientist or a PhD candidate. You have to act like a civil servant who is giving answers. So context is very important. Relevance you should not miss. These are some of the forms and a structure which Zeba talked about. I'm very happy that it has to be taken into all those things which Zeba has told. If you could write it down, I think the complex nature of the civil service is strips down to bare minimum, and you can concentrate very easily. Continuing with that, I'm telling you, Zeba, we are overwhelmed with questions, but I would expect you to have a very brief answers to whatever questions that has been asked to you. One question is that, what is your strategy for sociology? In fact, I also had sociology, if I'm not mistaken, 20 years back. And you also have sociology as the questions they're asking. What is the strategy for sociology? which you pursued in your successful attempt?
Yes. Yes. So I feel I did fairly well in sociology. There were so there are again three divisions to it. The first is how the kind of conceptual and information. Okay. The second is how you attempt answers, and the third is how you score marks. Okay. So there are three different things. The first one is in terms of getting a conceptual clarity of the subject, which is sociology. What in my first attempt, I had read a lot of sources because like I used to read some topper and used to be like ye pad lo, wo pad lo, and pretty much all the sociology books I had with me. And I feel that was a very bad idea because it only confused me as a person कि इसमें पढ़ना क्या है. So eventually in my second attempt, what I did was I stuck to two main basic sources. The first one was there's of course paper one, paper two. For paper one, there's a book named Herlambos, the blue book, the big one. I took it. I saw what all topics are there. I went through the syllabus. I chalked down all the important topics. And there was another book. I think he's a 2014 or 15 batch topper, Nitin Sangwan. He has come up with a book called Essential Sociology. So I took that book, and I told myself that for my basic preparation and conceptual clarity, I will stick to these two books. And of course, I read it 2-3 times. I tried understanding the different topics, and it takes time, especially if you're someone who doesn't have that background. But it's an easy subject. It's a fairly easy subject. Except I feel that social sciences need a certain bent of mind. They need a certain how it's orientation, and and your focus should be to develop that kind of orientation. You can develop an orientation towards a subject. You will be able to grasp on it instead of what do you say, like just wasting your time on reading too many books for a subject. So for what I did was I chose these two books, and then and notes were such that they were crisp. Okay. Uh, they had a good introduction, few topics, and a nice conclusion. That's how I made all my notes. What I did was for sociology was I enrolled, and this is where the importance of test series comes up, about which I was not able to focus on in detail. So both your prelims and for your means. Means particularly for my option sociology, I had enrolled into Vision IAS test series. There was a very lovely teacher, Smriti ma'am, and I think I hold my success to her. तो कर लिया था, and coaching I did not like it much, so I tried doing my preparation on my own. I used to listen to her classes. When I say classes, she used to discuss all the questions that were asked, so that really helped. That discussion of different questions of different material, and it also helped me fill all the gaps that I had in my प्रिपरेशन. जैसे कि सोशल में क्या होता है, ऑप्शन में क्या होता है, तो मोटा मोटी कुछ तो सब कर लेते हो, बट कुछ कुछ बच जाते हैं, कुछ कुछ इम्पोर्टेंट थिंकर्स है, ये सब बच जाते हैं. So those gaps I was able to plug in through my Vision IAS test. Uske come up with some sort of basic material for my preparation. Now this is for what you should write for your answers. The third most important thing is how you should get marks. Now for marks, and I think this is the most important point, this is where sociology becomes a little tricky, because I feel in a subject like sociology, again, if you have done your basic preparation, मतलब तुमने 2-3 books basic preparation है, you can easily get a 260, 270. Okay, it is not difficult. But in an option like sociology, if you want to get a 300 score, trust me, a 300 is important to land in the or with a good rank. That is where you will have to be very tactful. You will have to elevate your answers. And this is where I feel I put in a lot of effort, because I knew that I wanted to get above average marks in social. And that's not difficult. Even if you're considering taking optional as sociology, trust me, uska preparation is not very difficult. It's an manageable subject. You will always it's not very difficult to get average sociology, but it's difficult to get like a extraordinary score. So what I did for this was that I had made a separate book for sociology. Now you need to understand for UPSC, even though the optional is sociology, I'm not sure how now they are looking at the kind of fresh perspective that you bring to the table, the kind of freshness you bring to your answers. Now, if I'm talking about a thinker, say I'm talking about Karl Marx. Okay, now Karl Marx, everybody knows. Everybody knows his theory. Everybody knows what he proposed, his prophecy. Everybody knows of that. उसमें कुछ अलग होता नहीं है. वो तुम भी वही लिखोगे, मैं भी वही लिखूंगी, बाजू वाला भी वही लिखेगा. Now, what will differentiate and bring freshness to your answer is if you can apply, Karl Marx's theory in real life, or if you have a perspective of it in real life, or if you can, equate some sort of current affair example with this theory. And this is what I had extensively done. That whatever that I used to read, even if it is about Kamal or Durkheim or anybody, I used to say how is it applicable in real life, or does it have any scope for application or not? And they would be just 4-5 lines, not more than that. And I used to write it in that paper. But trust me, if I have managed to score a 316, it is not because of the theory that I wrote, but it is because of those 4-5 extra points that I thought कि अच्छा इसका relevance ये है, ये नहीं है, and the freshness that I brought to the paper that helped me get those extra marks. And this is what you must know for all your optionals. That even if you're reading a theory, even if you're reading something which has been tried and tested, see how you can add a point or two. If there's some current, जैसे अभी इतना ज़्यादा, there's so much about corona, COVID-19. Then see if you can give it a sociological perspective. See if that kind of sociological perspective you can talk about it and alienation, how people are getting alienated. Try connecting all these things. And the moment you are able to have this kind of orientation and you're able to reflect it in your answers, that is what will help you elevate your answer. And mains is only about getting that elevation and getting that. Because your answers don't have to be the best. In terms of content, I still feel my answers were not the greatest. They were good, but they were not extraordinary. But what I always put in effort was how did I add some sort of freshness, some sort of new perspective. Just like if there is something about suicide, and if you want to give a sociological perspective, talk about how in the recent times where we've there's a lot of focus on mental health, and how these sociological concepts become clear. So I feel if that kind of orientation you can bring it, and the other ideas of keeping it simple, of having an introduction, of having a very balanced criticism, of having a balanced conclusion, is what will help you get good marks in sociology. In socio, also make sure that for every theory you have at least 2-3 criticism. मतलब एक ना स्टैंडर्ड होना चाहिए जिसका एक इंट्रोडक्शन दे दिया, उसके बारे में वो थियोरी की, उसकी रेलेवेंस तुमने, और रेलेवेंस ना मैं अलग से, okay, so the other thing that I used to do in my answers was I used to give nice headings. So I used to write, introduction, I used to write, then I used to say this is what the theory entails. Then specifically I used to write relevance, and I used to write what I feel about the theory in present time. So that is highlighted. So the examiner knows, okay, so this person has not only studied the theory, but is also dwelled on it. And then you give criticism, you give 3-4 lines, and then you give a nice balanced conclusion. If you can do that in your sociological answers, you will get above average marks.
Zeba, in fact, I could not have also explained it so easily, though I also had sociology, but I would like to add one thing for the audience, that the books which she mentioned, we also studied that, Hare Lombard's and Essential Sociology. You can understand the significance of those books. It's time tested. That is the reason why she is telling that stick to the basic. Do not digress from the basic path. Some of the books are evergreen, verdant. You concentrate on those books, read after read after read. Ings, you will definitely get a lot of wisdom in your mind. You do not flood yourself with lots of books. So this is one of the good takeaway from what strategies of sociology should have, and relate it to your current answers, practical answers, statistics. Like you can relate anomie, alienation, or Hegel's historical materialism, or Engel's theory, or Marx theory to current affairs. Then you will get only marks. Otherwise, everybody would be writing the theory. It just mug up and producing. Your wisdom is not tested. So I'm really happy that you could relate it to the correct way in which students should prepare. Now we have overshoot the time. In fact, as per our tradition, we always ask the speaker the final message, very crisp, short and final message to the audience, which you would like to give, Zeba, to your listeners there. What should be that crisp message for their preparation? One or two liners that can boost their confidence and that can elevate themselves to think for the success. Zeba.
So I will just say that the fact that you have decided to give the examination, trust me, it is half battle won. To have the conviction to sit for an examination and put yourself out there, it is not easy. Now what you need to do is just have faith in yourself. Just keep telling yourself कि ये हो जाएगा. And trust me, if I can, I am telling you, all of us can. In fact, all of us deserve to be there in the merit list. And आज नहीं तो कल सब and you just mentioned mine here and there, and enjoy the process. The process is long. Don't get lost in the negativity that the examination has, and I will admit it does. Focus on the positive aspects of it. Focus on what you have in your hand, and always believe that you can do it. The people out there, like if there are 800 people who are selected every year, trust me, there are 800 inspirational stories, and every story is different. And just know that you are unique in your own way, and bring that uniqueness to the table. It will help you in prelims, mains, and interview. And have faith in yourself. Don't try to copy anyone. But that's my only request that I have. Don't be like, अरे इसने ऐसे किया मैं भी ऐसे करूँगी. Stay true to yourself. Know what your positives are. Know what way you need to work. And the moment you can have that hold on yourself, the exam is secondary. You will clear it for sure.
Very well said, Zeba. Know yourself, be true to yourself. Do not be a copycat. You are unique. The world wants you to be unique. The UPSC wants you to be unique. They want your unique answer. It's not that you just give a mug up from some guide or from series or from some book. They want your uniqueness in the answer to reflect. And that is what the test of those examinations are. Zeba, as is our tradition, I would request you to type your email address in the chat box, because a lot of audiences would like to connect with you through email so that you can be a kind of a mentor to them, something they would like to ask in future or get motivated.
Yes.
So we always request our speaker to type the email ID in the chat box for all the audience to coordinate or contact you. And Zeba, it has been a very wonderful session. And let me tell you, in fact, this is the longest session we had with any of the speakers. And there's so many questions also, which is still unanswered. I'm sorry for all the audiences, those whose question I could not take up. But believe me, she has covered almost everything. If you go through this lecture or the session on YouTube, which we'll be posting today, you'd always get certain answers to your questions, which we could not answer specifically as you may seem it to be. But before ending it, I would like to thank Zeba for being so gracious enough at a short notice to conduct this session and inspire hundreds of people out there who are listening to you. And before Zeba, we wind up, we would like to tell you that you mentioned one quote from Faiz Ahmad Faiz. Lambi hai gham ki sham magar sham hi to hai. Yes, the night may seem to be long, as is the pandemic, as is your journey, but please think that it is only a night. After dark night, the morning is bound to come. When the morning is coming, that definitely is not in your heart and others' hand, but the preparation for the morning is in your hand. So please do not get disheartened. And I would like to quote the couplet which I mentioned during Zeba's felicitation. And I would like to again quote it here for the audience. जो यकीन की राह पे चल पड़े उन्हें मंजिलों ने पनाह दी. जो यकीन की राह पे चल पड़े उन्हें मंजिलों ने पनाह दी. जिन्हें वसवसों ने डरा दिया वो कदम कदम पे बहक गए. The idea is that do not get distracted, do not get away from your path. You have chosen a conscious decision to succeed in civil services examination. You have chosen your own path, your own destiny. Come what may, the pandemic may come, the exams may come after 5 months. No worry, you should concentrate on that path which you have taken. And definitely, if you get distracted by these small issues, you are not going to win. Winning means a lot of attitude. It doesn't mean that you have a lot of books and knowledge. It has much to do with attitude. I am pretty sure by listening to Zeba, you must have seen what attitude means to succeed in this examination. She is full of confidence. She learned from her mistakes. She implemented those strategies she learned from the successful people, and it's a blend. Success is a blend of all things. Her mind was open. She took wisdoms from everybody, and then she elevated herself on the table while writing the answers. So be simple. Do not complex your preparation. Stick to the basic and elevate yourself. That is what the message is from Zeba. And I'd like to thank Zeba again for being such a wonderful session you have with the audience. Zeba, your final take before we conclude this session. Zeba.
Thank you, sir. It was indeed very enriching for me also. It's been quite some time since I gave a talk like this, and for me, since last night, it's quite nostalgic also going back to those days. And so you've always been very inspirational, very supportive, and a true beacon of light and inspiration for all of us, sir. And I think, especially during these times, your initiative to have these webinars and these sessions, they are very productive, and I think it's the best way to utilize the time that we have thanks to the pandemic, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Zeba. Before we close, I forgot to mention that one of the students, a lot of people have asked that, can you share the sample of your notes which you made, so that they can also know. If you can send us to us by email, or to somebody who's asking you through email, better send them, so that they also get a feel of the notes, how to prepare it. Otherwise, people all their life, they wander around preparing notes, and at the end of the day, it's like a food which has been taken so much long to prepare that when you start eating it, you don't feel like eating it. So I think the notes.
Yes, sir. Yes, I will certainly look, sir. Yes, sir. I will look, sir. I have my answer script, sir. I can share my answer script, and notes. I will just look and I will send it, sir.
So audience, those who are listening to that, please correspond with Zeba through email. She has written her email address. And if you want any suggestions, any guidance, any mentoring, she can be a great source of inspiration to you. So please connect. And that is also part of the Mind Sparkle series. And I'm very happy to everybody, Zeba especially, to the audience, and to all those people who made this successfully. And with best of wishes, we conclude this session. Stay safe, stay blessed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.